If your chords sound like this, they're too clean and predictable and unsuitable for underground music. Let's turn them into this. Same progression, but a completely different feeling, and in this video I'm going to show you a step-by-step process on how you can achieve that. A quick reminder, you can pick up this full project file, MIDI and presets on my Patreon at the link at the top of the description. I really appreciate the support. Now let's get into it. So we're starting with basic triads, and the problem with basic triads is they're too clean and they lack the tension that the genre of techno and a lot of house music needs. We're going to be transforming them using extensions, voicing and movement. No real heavy music theory will be needed. Always start this with a sound that inspires you. I've made a pad patch, but you can use anything that allows you to play extended notes like strings or piano. We're going to build this chord structure in A minor, which is just all the white notes, so it's quite easy to follow. It also works as C major as well. Ableton has a new feature if you come up here where you can select the scale. If you turn this on, you can select your scale, choose minor or major or loads of other versions, and it will highlight the notes in the MIDI clip so that you can always follow the scale. You don't necessarily need this, but it can be a useful tool. I always start by creating a root note and then creating a fifth, which is 7 semitones above to make the chords. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can build both major and minor progressions with this structure, so it's a very flexible starting point. From there, I just transpose this fifth around to build a basic structure. So we're going to go A, F, C, and G. From there, all we need to do is fill in the thirds, and for a minor chord, it's 3 semitones up from the root, so there, and for a major chord, it's 4. I think all of these are major chords after the first minor. So this is a classic pop EDM structure, which is fine, but it feels a bit predictable and plain for underground music. Now let's start improving this. So now we're going to add some seventh notes. So that's 10 semitones up for a minor chord and 11 semitones up for a major. So let's start doing that. So this last chord is an exception because to fit it in the scale, you have to actually flatten the seventh. That's called a dominant seventh chord, so just be aware of that. Let's listen to it now with the sevenths and you'll hear the difference. Adding sevenths instantly makes things feel more grown up and less obvious. Next up, we'll add some ninths, which is just an octave and 2 semitones, so 14 semitones in total above. So let's do that and then we'll have another listen. You can hear this is where you get that deep house, melodic techno, emotional feeling. The last chord still has a bit of a pop sounding perfect resolution. So all I'm going to do is just delete the third, and this can get rid of that major or minor feeling that often can make things sound cheesy. So I'll just delete that. Definitely experiment with that across all of your chords. The next step is where it becomes underground. Let's revoice these chords to our taste. This is just trying different inversions and spacing between the notes, and sometimes trying different notes also. So to revoice these, I'm going to put the C and the B of the first chord up an octave. C there, and B up there. And the second chord, I'm going to put the A up an octave, and change this G to a B. On the third chord, I'm going to take this E up 2 octaves, so that's very high, to E5. And then I'm going to take G, B, and D, these 3 notes, up an octave. Because some of these notes are now getting quite high, I'm going to take everything down an octave. On the fourth chord, we'll make the F a C to smooth the connection to the previous chord. The spacing makes them feel more like a pad or a synth part rather than just a piano part. For underground music, it's important to have notes that stay the same across the chords because it keeps that tension in the chords. It creates that hypnotic feeling that you need in underground genres. Don't be afraid to strip the chords back even more by muting some notes. Removing notes often makes things sound more refined. So for the final result, I've broken up the chords a bit more and I've added some passing notes and also some notes that only are separated by one semitone, as this can give you a very dark and techno sound. I've reinforced the chords with two layers. Firstly, this respace to reinforce the low end, and this is where you can either just follow the root note of the chords or you can find a different harmony that sits well with your chords, and this is what I've done. Finally, a harmony layer, which is just a pad with some notes that sounded good alongside our chords. Again, keeping some of those notes the same really helps. Let's listen to these three layers together. You should be aware that you don't always need 4 chords for techno and some other genres. Sometimes 2 or 3 chords is enough. For example, this is the progression from Cast Hell on Earth. And one more example, this is a progression from Maceo Plex on his song Solar Detroit. It's very simple, it's almost more like a drone. That's amazingly effective. It's one of my favorites. If you take anything from this, it's this. Small changes make a huge difference. You don't need crazy theory, just tweak, listen, and shape things until they feel right. So to make your life really easy, in the project that I've included in my Patreon, I've left the individual steps that you can go through to kind of reconstruct, deconstruct your chords. Basic fifths, basic thirds, sevenths, ninths, removing elements, revoicing, adding elements and those extra notes at the end, and the extra bass and harmony layer. So you can now systematically build this for yourself, do it with your own chords, start in your own different positions, and make your own great chord patterns. If you found this helpful, drop a like, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see in future videos. I'll upload this project and these chords to my Patreon. If you pick them up, maybe you'll be able to make a great track out of it yourself. I appreciate all the support, and I'll see you in the next one.